It starts with TikTok because it's one of the places you can go extremely viral. It is a recipe to going viral. Let me break it down. My name is Blake Rocha. I go by Mr. FourToEight. In the same way that Mr. Beast thinks about YouTube all day, all I think about is creating content. I got laid off in March 2020. TikTok popped off, first video 650,000 views, and that's when I knew I had something. Form video is the way to go. People want entertaining content. You see people just putting shit out to put shit out. Don't do that.
You'd spend 6 hours just for a 60-second TikTok, right?
Yeah, there's a reason why. The video that I just posted, for the people that are watching this, is a recipe to going viral. So let me break it down. The first thing that I do is I'm always trying to be a leader with my content. Like, I don't want it to be the exact same as anybody else's anything, but I do take inspiration from other viral videos and tweak it in a way that I know is gonna go even more viral, because the algorithm's already telling you what's working, okay? The algorithm says, this video caught our attention, it's making people argue in the comments, or they have different opinions, it's shoving it to the world. Okay, so that works. So let's take this concept and apply it to what I know and what I'm trying to teach and reposition it. So I saw this video that was like, here's what it's like to make $100,000 a month. And I thought, okay, that's great, but that's unrealistic for most people. Especially, I've made $2,000 to $3,000 a month my whole life up until 3 years ago. And then I started making a shitload of money. So why not walk people through the steps of what it looks like to make $5,000 a month, to $10,000 a month, to $20,000 a month, to that fuck you money, which is $40,000 a month, and really show people like, this is how your lifestyle can change, and break down the barriers of this, this topic of money that everybody has. And along the way, make some jokes, make it entertaining. And that's another thing that I learned. People want entertaining content. The reason why some of these Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers do so well is because they're entertaining. That doesn't mean that you have to like cross this boundary of being like, some of these guys say they say like racist stuff, or they'll say like, they just say crazy shit because they want to get clout. You don't have to do that. But if you can be funny and entertaining and mix in your personality with viral, content that is structured in a viral way, then you have an ability to scale at, I've never done paid ads. Literally, I've never done paid ads, and made all my money organically. So I don't know if it's a subtle flex, or it's stupid that I haven't done paid, but maybe I should do paid or some SEO. But a long-winded answer. But I think that the marketing stuff, it all comes down to studying other people and reverse engineering what they're doing that's right.
So I don't think you've really studied hardcore marketing.
Well, I mean, to your point though, what does studying marketing mean? Because it definitely doesn't mean college, definitely doesn't mean school. If they wanted to study marketing, they'd have somebody like myself or yourself go teach a couple of classes at a university, because this is where marketing is at now. It's not, there's teaching somebody how to use Canva and how to use some kind of application to create digital, whatever. That's not marketing, in my opinion. So for me, when it came to the marketing thing, it always made sense to me.
Can you walk through how you became so damn creative? Like, what's your inspiration and all that?
The problem that I was seeing when I first started creating content was that I didn't think people were doing it good enough. And I thought there was a couple of guys that did it amazing and everybody else sucked. So if I could just study them and figure out there's a structure to what they're doing. Obviously, they know something that we don't. There's a reason why every video is kicking off. And there's different ways to look at things. Like nowadays, you have somebody like Gary Vee or the Grant Cardones or whatever, where they're basically just, their whole life is content. Somebody's just clipping everything that they do, everything they say outlandish stuff. And I didn't want to be anybody that said anything outlandish. I didn't want to be anybody that was fake. I wanted to be able to be myself and show people what I knew and also what I didn't know. And there's something for the people that are wanting to get started with creating content and with marketing stuff. There's something that's sexy about being a beginner and trying to find your way and following the journey and following the process. So that was like one of the first things I learned, was these frameworks I was coming up with for myself. I used to think about like, why was it that my grandma would make me stay up and wait after watching Jeopardy every single Tuesday to watch the new episode of Lost? It's because they left her on a cliffhanger. She's excited about what's coming. She's thinking about it all week. And then they start off with this crazy hook in the beginning with this monster capturing somebody and a recap and a this and a that. So I'm like, okay, so TV shows have it figured out. And what it is that they've set up a series. And so I started with a series. The space that I started in before any of the education stuff, before any of the Airbnb stuff, was in the stock trading and the crypto investing space. I was already trading, and I was learning as I was going, but I also knew more than 95% of people, because they just don't teach some of this stuff in school. So I just began creating this series that was like, hey, if you want to learn how to get started investing, here it is. If you want to learn how to make money, here it is. And here's what I'm learning as I'm going. Here's this hack that I just learned that I think you should know too. I wish I knew this. And all of a sudden, these videos are compounding with hundreds of thousands of views. I don't even have to show my face, and it's way more about the information that I'm sharing and less about me as a person.
I want to go deeper on that, but maybe I want to back up a second too, just so people get a sense for what you've done. So can you get a sense for the businesses that you have right now, the portfolio, whatever you're open to sharing? And also, I think the timeline is important too, because you only started doing this very recently.
Sure. Yeah. So I got laid off in March 2020. I was serving takeout food. Got laid off, began creating content around the trading space in about May or June of 2020. TikTok popped off. First video, 650,000 views overnight. And that's when I knew I had something. I built two of the largest stock trading communities in the world. They were online subscription businesses. One went on and did 8 figures. The other one did 7 figures. I stepped away from that world just because it was not really my passion. It was just something I was passionate about at the time.
So you just stopped it, or you sold it?
That's one of my biggest regrets and worst mistakes that I made in business. Everything's moving so fast. You're learning about taxes and this and that and hiring and firing. And I should have, if I had known what I know now, I should have hired an operator that could have filled my shoes, but I was worried that nobody could fill my shoes. So I stepped away. In the background, I was buying a lot of real estate and investing in Airbnbs. And just I had this large platform. People trusted me and not exactly just the stock stuff. They wanted to kind of go where I went. So I just started talking about how I was real estate investing. It blew up. And that has turned into multiple 7 and 8 figure businesses now. So the Airbnb business looks like this right now. So we have 11 properties. Majority of them are luxury that I own. Like in July, we did $340,000 in a month. Last month, we did 100 and something thousand in a month. On average, I do about $70,000 to $80,000 a month in profit, which is great because that business is essentially fully automated. What I did was, rather than going out and outsourcing and hiring people or just doing it by myself, I retired both of my parents for one day, and then I hired them back to my business. So my dad was good with his hands. He worked in the prison his whole life, and so now he's our project manager. My mom was good with numbers. She worked at Costco her whole life, and then so she came, and now she does the numbers and kind of bookkeeping for the business. So besides acquisitions, I run the whole, it's a family business now, and I'm collecting 70 to 80 G's a month just from that. From the coaching side of things, that business fluctuates. I do, mid 6 figures to up to, I think my biggest month was like 1.7 million in a month from education. That comes from mentorships and coaching and courses.
And when you say coaching, is it group coaching, one-on-one coaching, and how does that broken down? Mostly courses? How does it structure?
Yeah, so mostly courses. Okay. I have a high ticket program that's $6,000 a month. Inside of that program, there is some higher tiers where students get to work with me one-on-one or get direct access to be able to text me, ask me questions. We do live coaching calls. I update the course all the time. And yeah, it's just it's a community. It's a community of people that are interested in Airbnb and want to work with a team that has actually gone out there and done it. Because one of the things that I didn't like about the real estate space, there's 2 misconceptions, or there's one misconception and then there's one just flat out lie. The misconception is that you can just go buy, some single family real estate and retire. It's fucking bullshit. It's literally bullshit. I learned this firsthand by my first portfolio that I bought was a Section 8 portfolio in North Carolina. I paid, I probably put $600,000 or $700,000 down, or maybe even a little more. Maybe like 30%, maybe close to $1 million because it was a $3 million portfolio and I had to put down like 30%. So put $1 million down. After all is said and done, every single month when I have to fix one HVAC here and one, broken window here and blah, 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 I make $5,000 or $6,000 a month. Yeah. And I'm not complaining about making $5,000 to $6,000 a month, but that is shitty returns on a fucking $1 million investment. So yes, it is you have to own a lot of single family homes to make money. So for me, the Airbnb thing was like, hey, this isn't just real estate, this is a business and you can automate it and you can make way higher returns. I don't foresee it going anywhere, and we can talk about that in a bit, but yeah, that's kind of how things have been structured.
Your funnel is really unique because it's literally TikTok to Instagram, and your argument, I believe, is Instagram is the place to sell, right? So can you talk about how that funnel works and maybe how many views you're getting per month on these platforms? That'd be helpful for people to understand.
I don't track analytics at all. Okay. I don't know how many views I get per month. I don't have like a team that tracks any of that stuff. I simply just focus on creating content that I think is going to funnel really, really well. So here's how the funnel works. And this funnel's, made me well over $10 million. It starts with TikTok because it's one of the places you can go extremely viral just like in a couple of seconds. Like all of a sudden a video is running. And once I had one or two videos go like that early on in my TikTok career.
Early on, like 3 years ago.
Early on. Yeah. I realized that, man, why is this not translating into any sales or any followers or anything? It's because I'm not telling people what I need them to do. So I started refining my calls to action. Do I want them to go follow me on Instagram? Do I want them to go check out YouTube? Do I want them to go click the link in my bio? Do I want them to comment something so that I can have an automated message, send them a lead magnet, and blah, blah, blah. So I started kind of tinkering with that and figuring it out. And what I found was it's really easy to do low ticket sales on TikTok because there is less trust and you're just popping up on a For You page. That's why TikTok Shop is blowing up right now, because I can convince somebody to buy a $20 journal that's going to help them deal with depression or whatever, anxiety or whatever it may be, because it's $20. But if I say, hey, by the way, my true offer is I have a $6,000 coaching program. If I'm looking for this type of people, but I have hundreds of thousands of kids following, it's just not going to translate. So I figured out that I needed to get people over to Instagram. And so that's what I do. From TikTok, I push people to Instagram. Instagram pick up, let's say on a big viral video, I pick up 10 to 15,000 followers. From those followers, they're going to be watching my stories for the next couple of days. And so I'm going to continue to post the same exact post on TikTok as I do on Instagram, but on my stories, I'm going to be creating content around, it may look to the average person that I'm just kind of putting shit out there, but it's all I think about all day. In the same way that Mr. Beast thinks about YouTube all day and refining YouTube videos, all that I think about all day is creating content. I dream about creating content.
You wake up with it.
I wake up and all I think about is creating content. To the point where sometimes I can't even create content for like a month. I'm just like, my brain is just, I'm all over the place. But the goal is to really just get people to know, like, and trust you. And I use the Instagram stories as a nurture sequence, right? So rather than sending out emails, all the time saying, hey, are you there? Are we still friends? It's Blake here.
Yeah.
No, you don't know me. Get to know me. Let me tell you a little bit about my life. Here's what I'm doing today. Here's some of the struggles I'm dealing with. I've got some health problems I'm going through. But wow, Airbnb's been kicking butt and we made $17,000 today. And if you want to learn more, here's this post. And so then I started kind of figuring out, okay, I can set up these sequences maybe 2 to 3 times a week where it's like, first post is a poll, which gets some engagement. Second post is a question, which gets some more engagement. Third poll is, hey, here's an update on my student's testimonial. Fourth post is an offer with some shit that like I've never offered before. And so I was just coming up with all new offers, all new stories. Meanwhile, the program's kicking ass, getting testimonials. And so it's like this snake that's eating itself. Like you were saying with this, agency business, it continues to scale if you continue to feed it. So all I needed to do to feed it was make sure that the back end was like solid and sturdy. And then create content every single day that was going to drive traffic to my Instagram.
So what I'm hearing is TikTok is really your discovery channel, and then Instagram is really your relationship building channel.
Correct.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's really simple at the end of the day. I think people overcomplicate things. It's like, I need to do every single channel. It's like, for you, it's like, no, TikTok, Instagram, simple sales call. I don't need to do paid. I don't need to do SEO. Like, I'm just going to keep it simple.
Do you know the reason why my content works and why I'm able to sell so much? I don't look at what anybody else is doing. And if I do, you will visibly see that my content is getting worse.
Yeah.
And that it means that I'm lost. If you ever see me trying to figure out a fill in the blank style video, it's because I am lost with my content. And I think that, to a point, I just got out of a really big rut. Like for the first time in my life, I'm naturally just energetic and positive person. And I was dealing with depression for the first time. And, you know, I'd gotten out of a relationship but it wasn't like an ugly breakup. So I can't really contribute it to that. It was because I was losing my like end goal and like my target and my vision of exactly what I wanted. Because I'm a very like manifestation. Say what you want about it. For me, it's been everything for me. So like when I can see what the exact goal is that I'm trying to get to, and I know that like the path becomes extremely clear on what I'm trying to follow. I didn't know what the end goal was anymore, and I no longer had a path, and so I'm just creating content just to create. And so you see people just putting shit out to put shit out. Don't do that. You will be much more successful if, yes, you can use other people's stuff as inspiration to give you like an idea. If I see some guy talking about this e-com thing, but I think, wow, it's a really good video structure. Let me try that with Airbnb, and it goes viral. Well, great, like that's fantastic. But be yourself. And let other people try and start copying you, because you then look like the leader. Like you are the leader. Everybody that makes Alex Hormozi style videos, you got to say his name. You got to keep his name in your mouth. So leading the pack is huge.
So I remember there's this project, this NFT project back then. It's still around right now, called Doodles, and like a lot of artists are tied with it, right? The artist is amazing, and I asked him like, what's your creative process? Same thing. He's like, I don't look at anybody else's stuff because it's going to start to dilute my stuff,
right?
Which is interesting, and I think that's the right way to do it. You did mention on the pod you don't follow many people on social, but you do to sometimes get some creative ideas. Is that still a thing, or?
Yes, and typically they're not going to be. I try my hardest to not find inspiration from anybody that's in my same sector. So I won't find anybody that's doing real estate stuff or anybody that's doing Airbnb stuff. I think that the best way to do that, to find inspiration from other people's content, just go on the For You page and start scrolling around. Or, I spend basically like, kind of like right when I wake up, first 30 minutes or like 40 minutes just scrolling. Fuck a morning routine.
Yeah.
Scrolling, because my mind is firing then. Some people are night people. I'm an early
You're
morning
looking to get
person.
creative.
Yeah, I'm looking to get creative. I'm looking for something to inspire me to create a video. Then I'll open up my notes app and start kind of saving like, hey, bullet point here, remake this video, but do this style and blah, blah, blah. And then, I'll go on about my day and I'll make that video. And that's typically what's going to, lead to going viral.
Okay, so do you have a sense for how many views your biggest video got?
Yeah, I think biggest video, maybe like 10 million views on TikTok and like 3 or 4 million on Instagram.
This is cross-posted.
Yeah, cross-posted. I cross-posted.
What % of your week do you think you're spending on creative?
Like 80% of my week.
Okay, that's important because I want people to understand that like that is how much time it takes to build really strong creative, because I believe that creative is the X factor, whether you're doing organic or paid. And 80% is crazy, but it's what it takes. And like that's why that's what I believe has led to your meteoric rise with success.
I agree. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I eat, sleep, and breathe content. And the difficult thing about this is I thought for the longest time that my goal was to be a solopreneur. Basically, I had one closer like work for me for a couple months. I had a couple people working in my stock community, but for the rest of that time, it was me doing the sales. It was me doing the tweets. Yeah. I've never had anybody write a script. I've never had anybody edit a video for me besides YouTube. And so I was like, I'm so cool. This is me. Total mistake. As I look at my real estate business and my Airbnb business, when I started that and did it all by myself, it fucking sucked. It was horrible. I wasted all my time doing it. And, not to discourage anybody to do it, but that's kind of what it takes. You got to grind your teeth to get started and figure out in order to make the systems and the operations and figure out what you're hiring for, you have to know what the tasks are people need to do. So nowadays, when I'm seeing things change, like right now in this creator economy, I'm seeing a massive change. People are not wanting to be sold to the same way they were being sold to before. You're seeing everybody that, kind of came on as like a guru type of person. I'm guilty of it too sometimes, like the car and the watch and stuff. Sometimes where I feel uncomfortable, it sucks because it actually drives engagement.
It hooks them.
It hooks.
Yeah.
It hooks, and then maybe like my true self and my true story can come across. But fuck it, if I got the Rolls Royce, I'm gonna use it to like try and get some views.
You said it. You're a hooker.
I'm a hooker. I'm a hooker. But at the end of the day, it does become the most difficult part is when you're running your businesses and doing the creative stuff, trying to keep up with both.
Yep.
Trying to keep up with both, because business changes. You have to hire and fire. You need to make sure the back end stuff is all implemented. The email sequences, the text campaigns, hey, now we're going to do webinars and we got to create a new slide deck and all this stuff. Meanwhile, you still have to create that 80% of your week to content. I personally disagree, and I could just be completely fucking wrong on this. I don't think that everybody can do what Hormozy, what Gary Vee, what Cody is doing now. These people are building fucking multimedia like businesses, and they're spending millions of dollars doing so. It is not realistic for 99% of people, and for a lot of people's personalities, even if they had the money, it's not a good fit. You gotta be, you have to have that X factor, like Deion Sanders right now, right? You see it, that's a motherfucking marketing genius.
Yeah.
No matter how you spin it, he's a marketing genius. And so, yeah, you can follow him with a camera around all day because he's saying prolific stuff. If you follow me around with a camera all day, I don't say shit. I'm nonverbal for like 8 hours.
You're like in bed.
Yeah, I like, I'm hooking.
Yeah.
So I'm just like working, I'm in my head, and I require a lot of peace and quiet time. I'm a creative introvert, and so as much as I like to talk and stuff on the videos, for me to get to where I need to be to create that X factor type of video, I need to be in that right space.
Got it. So what have you changed your mind on in the last 3 years? So I think you've gotten away from the solopreneur mindset. What else have you changed your mind on?
Well, to be fair, I think that there's something to be said about the solopreneur thing, is that you don't need to, I see a lot of people that made the mistake of like overhiring and overspending and all these overs to get to this like really, big, number of that they're making per month, but their take home is small. I like lean teams. Like I really do believe that having a lean team of people that you enjoy working with makes the whole process a lot more enjoyable. And this is what we do every fucking day. So it needs to be enjoyable. The things that have changed in the last 3 years, the biggest, changes that I've noticed, my perception around money, right? Like thinking $10,000 a month was a lot. It was at a time. And then you meet somebody doing $100,000 a month, and then you make $100,000 in a month, and you meet somebody making $500,000 in a month, and you go, holy shit, $500,000 a month, that's like $6 million. And then some guy comes in making $20 million a year. That's, well over $1.5 million a month. And they're not working that much.
Yep.
So now your brain's going, holy shit, how is this guy pulling up in pajama pants, speaking at this thing, and he's making all this money, and he wasn't he in Bora Bora yesterday? So you start, and then you start asking questions. So that's number one. The second thing that I realized is like, you really need to focus on finding the right mentors. And there's ways to do it. For me, the way that I was able to find the best mentors and essentially avoid paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for these like mastermind groups where you can meet other people, I'm like, fuck it, I have something that everybody else wants. Everybody that's older than me, I'm 26 years old. Everybody that's older than me that's made it in any part of business knows now that short form video is the way to go. I'm one of the best in the world at creating short form video, and I'm one of the best people in the world at driving video, content to sales. However you want to piece it up, I consider myself 0.1%. If I believe that, then why don't I go present this to people and help them out? Like, I helped Cody when Cody was just doing like laundromat stuff and kind of just getting started on Twitter. My pitch to her was, hey, I need you to help me buy a laundromat, and in return, I will help you with learning. I'll teach you how to create content. And so now she's blown people out of the water, but at the beginning, we were all just getting started, and I had.
So this is like 2-3 years ago.
2-3 years ago.
Wow. Okay, so you did help her on that, right? Because she was sitting in that seat a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I
And
didn't know
so,
that.
and now she's taken it and ran with it, and obviously it's just to get started and stuff. But I did that with a lot of people that have gone on and made tens of millions of dollars, and so now all of a sudden I have access to anybody that I need essentially at my fingertips, whether it be lawyers, whether it be people in the finance space, the crypto space, marketing space. The top dogs, or within like one contact. So mentorship is fucking key. Mentorship, money, and then the third thing, and maybe even the most important. I've done something, and I've been extremely intentional about doing this. I haven't switched up on who I am as a person. I dress the same. I act the same. I have the same friends. I have new friends, but I still have my same friends from before. I didn't do the whole like, you are the 5 people you hang out with. Well, I still hang out with 5 dumbasses, but they're my dumbasses. Let me use an analogy. This is a very, very important analogy that I'll use. I look at this online content creator space, money making space, as a flash in the pan, or like I'm a professional athlete. Immediately when I started making money, my goal was to take all that money. I lived at my parents'. I owned 20 houses before I moved out of my parents' house. So my goal was to push back anything that I wanted to enjoy and just keep fucking working and grinding and buying assets that were going to give me passive income, so that when the song and dance is over, when nobody thinks that Blake is funny, cool, or whatever anymore, and I'm not fucking him, that I have an 80 to 100, 200,000, $300,000 a month to fall back on. That was my goal, and that's always been my vision. And so I watched a lot of people get caught up in the same space that, I kind of became friends with, and we're shooting the shit and talking numbers, because very few people can relate when you're on this grind. It's pretty lonely. They were spending it all on just stupid shit. You don't need 4 fucking cars. You don't need 8 watches. You damn sure don't need bottle service. So I just stayed true to who I was. I made a few mistakes along the way, and maybe got caught up a few different times. And I think it's all part of learning and growing as an entrepreneur and as a human being. But that's helped keep me grounded. Still, keeping a family business, talking to my parents all the time. Still going back. I try my best to I find that giving back was what I used to really enjoy, not used to, but I enjoyed doing it, but I didn't have much to give except for my time and energy. Now I can give with my money and see an actual difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to do one random act of kindness a month is this little goal in my head of
What would be an example of that?
Last week we went back to my hometown. So I did a missions trip. I went to a Christian school growing up. I went on a missions trip to Guatemala.
Oh, cool.
With my sophomore year Spanish teacher, Senora Bay.
Oh, nice. You gave her money too.
Yeah. So
nice.
And so we stayed in touch. She always sends me pictures of and it was, for me, that was a transformational trip. I learned on that trip to be extremely grateful for what I had, because there's people that are way happier than me and more grateful, and they don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so it stuck with me forever. It's a lesson that shaped me, and she shaped me as a teacher, and just her family's cool as hell. I absolutely love these people. So she hit me up a month ago, and she's like, "Hey, Chicharito," she calls me Chicharito.
Yeah.
"Hey, Chicharito, I would love it. Could you share this story?" And she doesn't know social media or anything like that. "Could you share this story? We're trying to raise money, and there's this family, and she's sending me videos and pictures of this little kid that needs a home. He's sick. Their home is not a home. It's literally just a tent, basically. And so it was $10,000, and I went up there, brought her a check for $10,000, and that was it. It was
nice.
It was, for me, that's what it's about. I mean, it's about other things. It's about taking care of your family, taking care of yourself, and being selfish. People don't talk about it much, but be selfish. But with the extra money that you have, with with the extra money you have, do what you want with it. But for me, that's.
I think you realize very quickly when you have first, one individual doesn't really need that much, and then once you make your own money, it's okay, well, that's I'm good. And then it's naturally you just want to take care of other people. And so that is a nice pillar of success. So this is interesting. Are you saying that you believe the creator economy is a flash in the pan, or what's your take on it?
No, I think the creator economy is here to stay, and I think it's only going to grow bigger. What I'm saying about it is things change. From a macro perspective, when we look at what's happening right now, we had this fake economy, basically, where we're just pumping free money into it.
Zerp.
And people don't have to people don't have to work. All people have to do all day is be on social media consuming content, and a lot of the content that they're consuming is showing them a better life that they could be living. They have a second, if you think about the mindset of people that were in the pandemic than post-pandemic, the mindset was, okay, well, look at this kid online that's making way more money than I was, and he's got a cool lifestyle and this and that, and they see what I want them to see, which is true. I don't share all the shitty stuff in my life. There's a lot of crap that happens.
Yeah.
But they see that, then the money, they start spending money on everything, then money starts drying up, then the cost of living goes up exponentially. And so you have, and then for right now, for example, for me, I'm in a very difficult spot where I'm watching most of my competitors bounce. Okay. Of Airbnb content creators, let's just level the playing field. I have, without a doubt, one of the largest Airbnb portfolios that I own that I own. It's not, I don't own all 20 million of it. I have, probably 30% equity across the board, but I have a massive fucking portfolio that makes my money is where my mouth is, right? And so I'm qualified to tell people my thoughts on this Airbnb market. I wouldn't be pushing it or continuing to invest right now if I thought it was, going away. If you Google Airbnb what do you think the articles are that you're going to see right now?
Well, it's like a shit show right now. I mean, you
Right.
look at New York, right? They're shutting out. Oh my God, Airbnb is getting kicked out.
Yeah. So then,
Yeah.
but just think about how this like parlays, and I'll relate it back in a second to how difficult it is to kind of deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
All you see on the news all day, and people are very uneducated. Bottom line, like if you read some of the comments and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, God.
At least you're getting comments.
Yeah. I'm like God could not help you if he wanted to. But they're like, hey, New York is banned with Airbnb. No, it's not. New York City banned Airbnb. New York State is still fine. Well, it's crashing. I saw that it's crashing. Well, no, actually, what's happening is if we were from 2013 to 2025, if we had this just imaginary chart, you would see Airbnb trending like this, then you'd see it go to a flat stop, then you would see it skyrocket because pent up demand, and people are making a shit ton of money, and now everybody's running into it, and then now you see it coming back to earth to this like mean regression line. It's not going anywhere. Is it technically crashing? Well, call it what you want, but I literally have a statistic right here which is super interesting, and I'll just pull it up because this is was reading this yesterday morning. Give me 2 seconds here because this is.
Well, by the way, as you're pointing that out, I mean, same thing with Shopify, right? People thought it was going to go crazy, and then it's mean regressed. So
right,
same deal.
Where are we at here? I apologize. Anyways, the long story short was AirDNA, one of the biggest platforms that comes out with Airbnb research and going over the real numbers, was showing that July, like this past July and August, were like the biggest July and August on Airbnb ever. So yes, are things, am I making less money than I was in 2021 and 2020, or 2021 and 2022? Absolutely. But I was also not buying my properties or investing in my Airbnb investments based on 2020, 2021, and 2022 numbers. I knew that was already fucked up. I went back to basically 2017, 2018 numbers, and that's how I was doing my calculations, which I was telling my students to do. But at the end of the day, it becomes extremely difficult from my perspective as somebody who's, who not only just makes money from Airbnb, but education is huge. No matter how anybody wants to spin it, they'll come up here and tell you crocs of bullshit all day. I'm not afraid to talk about my education business because I've helped thousands of students, and we have testimonial after testimonial. So if I can make money helping other people make money, win-win for everybody.
Right.
So with this business though, now it becomes really difficult because I have to get my message across about Airbnb. I have about 1 minute to do so in a video. Oh, and by the way, I have to try and convince people that from my perspective as somebody who has fucking millions of dollars of Airbnbs, that it's not dying. But all that they're reading and all they hear all day is that it's dying. And so they're going to go to someone else. And really the struggle with being a person. Do you remember what it was like when you were like, because you're a nerd just like me, right? You've always been interested in making money online. And when you're getting started and you're on forums and nowadays with videos, there's a million different ways you're getting pulled. eBay arbitrage, Shopify, drop shipping, Airbnb, Section 8 this. So then you're like, okay, well, check Airbnb off the list. So now my job as a creator is, I got to sit back and go, do I pivot? Well, I've made, $10, $20 million doing, education. Do I go am I the coach's coach now? You really, that's the inner dialogue that you start having. And I just decided, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to roll with this because I'm doubling down on my Airbnb right now. I'm buying more properties right now than I ever have. I'm closing on a hotel this week, which is like my first time buying a hotel.
Awesome.
And, it's because there's so much fear out there. And I'm a firm believer that you should zig when other people zag, and everybody's zigging right now.
Here's the thing, like it takes a lot of courage to do that because all the people you saw talking about crypto moved over to talking about NFTs, moved over to talking about AI now. And you can see this with a lot of YouTube creators, right? But it takes a lot of courage to focus and double down. And dude, you're only in your mid-20s right now, right? And like I've learned, I've had to get punched in the face many times to learn that focus is the way to actually build something generational. All of my friends that have built something generational, it's like, as a matter of fact, this is something I want to talk about. A lot of my friends that are locked in on one business now, they own real estate. They've gotten rid of the real estate. They're like, in fact, I would sell all of my real estate just to put it back in the business, right? And so they're the thinking now, people in their 30s and 40s, like, forget about real estate. Just think about what you actually understand, which you actually understand real estate. So what's your take on that?
Double down on what the most. I think that one of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given was, I had shiny object syndrome like everybody else. I was buying houses and I was like, well, I like Cody and she seems like she's doing good buying laundromats. I want to buy a fucking laundromat.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with a laundromat? What do I know about running a laundromat business?
You bought one, right?
Well, I was under contract for 2, and thank God they didn't work out. Otherwise, I might have had a shift to clock into right now. But you know, it's really easy to get shiny object syndrome. Anybody. Somebody told me the advice. They're like, hey, you know, if you were to put 100, or how much are you going to buy that laundromat for? $1 million. How much are you going to have to put down? 200 G's. What if you put 200 G's into your current business right now? What if you spent $200,000 making your education program way better?
Yep.
You hired out 3 coaches and you brought on a chief of marketing or a chief of content, strategy, whatever. How much more money would you make then? What was your returns going to be on that laundromat? Well, fuck it, I was going to make a couple $1,000s a month.
Yeah.
What would your returns be on this thing that you've already multiple?
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic piece of advice, and I think that everybody should you know. I've made mistakes. I've chased the shiny object a million times, but as I'm learning as I'm going, you know, I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to just
Dude, that's a huge
down.
win. In your mid-20s to get rid of 99% of entrepreneurs deal with shiny object syndrome. Some never get over it, and that's why they fail. But the Bill Gates and Warren Buffett story that we always share on the pod is that, like, when they asked what their secret to success was, they wrote one word on a piece of paper separately, and they both turned it over and said focus. So for you, okay, going back to you are, for lack of a better word, you are the creative genius behind the company. How are you thinking about structuring the team moving forward? Like, are you thinking about hiring an operator? Are you thinking about keeping it lean? Like, what are the thoughts? Because I can see it going anywhere, really.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time thinking about this, and I don't know if I have the right answer for you right now, but I will say this. I don't have the same goals that maybe everybody else has. I don't, at this stage of my life, I don't want to be a #1 bestseller. I don't want to speak across all these big stages. In fact, as much as I'm out there, I prefer anonymity. I was anonymous for like 2 years, and I think that there's some benefits to it. I haven't had any crazy shit happen yet, but you know, I can take it 2 different directions. I can take it like the Mr. Beast route, and really more so, I'm more interested in night media
because
because
the Duchscher model,
right. Well, I really think that like what I'm I'm an expert in Airbnb for what it's worth in terms of like portfolio wise and what I built, and I'm great at the marketing stuff, but you know, I really do believe, like, when I see creators, I see so much potential in them, and I see this market only getting bigger. I see digital products only getting bigger. I've built, you know, now we're coming on like 4 or 5, 7 and 8 figure businesses in 3 years, and just I can keep busting them out. But you know, like, I've considered going this route of like, I don't even know how to describe it, almost being like a manager, which I don't want to be a manager, but like, there's people I see, I'm like, hey, look, you're probably making $10,000 a month. There is no way you should not be making $500,000 a month, and I want to fucking cut. Yeah.
So you could literally do the Hormozi model, but for creators.
I think so,
right?
too.
And because here's the thing, like, the reason I like his model is because courses are good. You can make good money with courses, and if you're fine with the money you make, great. But you can make even more money just by taking stakes, equity, right? That ownership is what matters at the end of the day. And so if you can do that and defer any additional revenue from it and just build your audience that way and take equity stakes.
And there's a million different ways to do it too. I think that the reason why I like digital products so much versus like Logan Paul's Prime, Emma Chamberlain with the coffee. Yeah, that's great because these guys are, you know, they from a marketing perspective, you know, somebody was smart enough to say, hey, look, Chickadee, you've got 1 million followers watching your videos every single day, and all you talk about for the first 40 minutes is coffee.
Yeah.
Fuck a Dunkin' Donuts, you know, affiliate link. Yeah. Go make your own coffee and slap your face on it. It's easy. Yeah. Yes, there's those kind of products, but like, those are kind of few and far between, and you really need the right creator. Mm-hmm. The amazing thing about this kind of idea with the digital stuff, and you know, I used to use this example with a friend of mine. So you have a Neil, I have a buddy of mine too. That's like, me and him, we get it. Like, we talk about everything, and it makes it, you know, helpful. You know, I told him, I said, why is Ninja, you know, streaming? You know, why is Ninja spending so many hours a day playing? He's basically a slave trading time for money. Mm-hmm. He's making a shitload of money.
Plays a lot of Fortnite.
And you know, look, I enjoy playing video games too, but if I didn't do
nothing
any
wrong
of this,
with that. I love it.
If I didn't do any of this, I went to school to like work in video games. Like, that was my goal. But not the point. The point is like, what is it about him that everybody loves? Well, they love that, you know, when he was peaking, that he was the best streamer in the world. okay, best streamer in the world, why don't you show these millions of kids that want to be just like you how they can be just like you, and you can create a digital program showing people, hey, look, you want to become a streamer, here's the exact things that you need from low budget to high budget. This is the kind of content you need to make. Here's why my stuff worked, here's what didn't work, and here's all the stuff that I learned, and here's the price for $197. Every fucking kid in the world would go buy it for $197. I would go buy it for $197. And he could have made literally, I would guarantee you that he could have probably made close to $100 million selling a program like that over the course of 1 to 2 years.
I think there's a lot of variables here. I think it's like, do you have your nut or not? So do you have your money? If you have your money taken care of, you can do like the Hormozi model, which is delayed gratification, right? Which is where he did that launch recently with the book. Hey, he basically could have made $20-50 million. He's like, you know what? No, I'm going to give you the courses for free. I'm going to build goodwill. I'm going to take equity stakes larger down the road, right? But that's a very long-term view. And in some case, 99% of cases, people cannot delay like that.
You have to have an exit, I think, to
you need your nut.
fund that.
Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, how...
I've never talked about that out loud, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of like where I'm gonna continue to stick with the real estate stuff because it's I enjoy it. You know, like I there's something about, you know, I don't know if I've ever even told this story before, but like the reason why I fell in love with real estate, I had a mentor that was in real estate that unfortunately, you know, he was a rock star. He took his life, and it was like one of my first mentors, and he saw something in me. I when I was like 14 years old, got caught up in some, like it was VEMA. It was like a pyramid scheme type of thing. Because I wanted to drive BMW to school. But I just was already thinking about marketing and sales and doing all that stuff. I didn't even know what I was caught up in. I just knew that like I had the riz of this like business language. Yeah. And so he saw something in me, and I was introduced to real estate that way. I grew up in a very middle class. I had never really been around nice houses or big houses. I grew up in a farm town. And so when I got to college, I was at a pretty low point. This is like in college I got extremely, extremely sick. Was told multiple times that I'd only had a couple of years to live. Like I had 2 doctors say that I was going to be dead by 30.
Wow.
With a liver disease, I had stomach diseases, 2 autoimmune diseases, and I was 105 pounds. And so that whole health journey took a lot out of me, and I didn't have a lot of hope for a long time. And I do remember one time this feeling of like ecstasy almost. I had never felt anything like this before. I was notorious for rolling up a joint, grabbing my fishing pole, and sneaking into, in college, like anywhere that I could go sneak in to go like fish.
I can see that.
I was just like, fuck it. Like, what else am I doing right now? Like, everyone's telling me negative things, whatever. Yeah. So one day there's this neighborhood called Lake Sherwood in Westlake Village. And I'd heard a lot about it. Britney Spears lives there, and $20 million, $30 million houses like that. I'm like, I want to go there. So I tried 1 or 2 times to get in. Hey, I'm here for Spears family. They're all, what do you do? I'm like, tell them Blake's here. And they're like, there's no Blake. Like, all right. So I came back, and finally I found this kid that was local, and he was like, yeah, I got some friends there. We'll go in. And so and I'm wearing just like my get up, like just normal sweats and stuff. And I see 2 open houses, and this one open house just like caught my eye. I didn't walk through an open house before. I had no reason to ever walk through an open house, especially on a $25 million house, I think is what it was. And my buddy's like, dang, it's badass. Let's go check it out. I go, nah, like what? Like I'm not worthy. Yeah. I can't walk through a 20. I'm gonna catch on fire like a sinner walking into church. So anyways, we park, I'm kind of like skittish, and we walk in, and he ends up knowing the real estate agent was a young kid, so they get to talking, and I'm left in this like, is foyer the right word? Like this big room. Yeah. With a view over this lake, and I'm sitting there, and I just had like chills. And I remember just kind of like closing my eyes and thinking, why can't I have this? This is fucking possible. Like, I can do this. This is out there. Some other guy that is, not smarter than me or not cooler, there's dumb people that make money. Yep. There's dumb people that make dumb money. Yep. So I'm like, this is possible. And I kind of just walked around this house and was, feeling the walls and touching, seeing this nice everything. And that was like a very like memorable, like pivotal type of moment for me, realizing like, man, I'm meant for more. Like I can do more, and this will be mine.
This was at age 14.
No, this is in college. This is like when I was in college. Yeah.
When did you find your mentor again?
He was when I was 18, came home for freshman summer, and then he passed away.
Got it. So can you talk a little more about that? Because I think people watching this would like to know how to get a mentor. And yeah.
So, I mean, besides kind of what I mentioned earlier about having like a unique skill or something of value to bring to somebody, typically not asking for anything in return will get you a lot of goodwill, and ideally they kind of come to you and say, "Hey, look, if you ever need anything,
There's
here's
that
my
word,
line."
goodwill.
Goodwill, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the best lessons I give to people is, you know, give a lot without expecting to receive anything in return. It's a key. It's helped me achieve almost everything I've done because I've just even when it comes to sales, buy somebody that cup of coffee so that you get your foot in the door and get goodwill with them, and then they come back to you when they're ready to buy something because you've already given them something for free. So I kind of had heard through the grapevine, use your connections too. I'd heard through my mom's friend, that's her brother. So it was like a mom's friend, and then that was her brother, that he was the biggest real estate guy around. And everybody had always told me, because I was a natural salesperson, that I should sell cars and I should sell houses. Well, I sold cars and I fucking sucked at it. I was the worst. I sold a half of a car and that was it.
Really? You
Yeah.
sucked at selling
I was
cars?
the worst. I was the worst car salesman ever. Well, I didn't know anything about cars and I didn't like them. And it was like
Oh, because you didn't care, so you didn't study.
No, and I was like, it was like 108 degrees and I was getting paid minimum wage.
Yeah.
And I had to stand out in the lot all day on the used car lot. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck this sucks.
Yeah.
So anyways, houses and our first meeting, kind of talking, he saw my like energy and he just said, "Hey, I see a lot of me in you. And I meet with a lot of kids and parents want me to meet." That's a natural thing. I can't really tell anybody how to do that or how it worked, but I was naturally engaged and telling him like, "Hey, I want to be the best, real estate salesman ever." And he was like, "Come on, like, let me show you the ropes." And then, a month or two later passed away. But
You know what? I feel like people can detect this energy because the mentors I've gotten in the past, when I had nothing earlier, but it was clear that I wanted to get better. And it was clear also I had some value because I was an up and comer from a marketing standpoint. Like, it's not that I asked them to be my mentor. It's more so like I asked what they needed help with. And not even that, I just did the work for them. And then they're like, "Okay, let's talk." And then they wanted to get to know you better, right?
Yeah.
So,
and truthfully, and I'm sure that you've dealt with this too, as you start to, especially because our lives are like so public, as you start making money and as you start making money, you have a lot of friends and not even less of friends, but more of like acquaintances or high school people or college
Yeah.
people and they're texting you, calling you, reaching out because they want to know what you know. Well, the amount of people early on that I, kind of felt bad. So I like, not bad, but it's my time. I'm giving away a lot of time to like help people out, which is fine, but I can help a lot more people out with my social media than I can one-on-one with random high school homie. But, I would give them the sauce. You know how many people followed up and did anything
less
with it?
than 1%.
Zero.
There
I don't
you
have
go.
a single
0%.
friend out of that group, of people that ever reached out that ever went on and did anything with investing, trading, or with Airbnb.
They wanted the feeling.
The feeling.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, Blake. I'm like, yeah, thanks. But, I'm going to give this to you. And I think that if anybody, and there's other people that did show it, came to me saying, asking questions and then implementing and really pushing the envelope. And I'm like, okay, I want to help you be successful because you're taking what I'm saying and you're doing it, not just doing it, you're going above and beyond. You're doing it some things better than I might have even done it. And so, that when there's a lot of motherfuckers that talk, but if what it comes down to is doing, taking action.
That's why it's okay to give almost all of your best content away for free because almost no people are going to take action. And the people that do, you build massive goodwill.
That's one of the best pieces of content that's been on this podcast is that right there. If you can literally give away, I'll give you an example. I know a guy that has made over $20 million in online education, like online sales, teaching people about a certain subject. In this certain subject, he created this online course, okay? You can find more valuable information and probably 10x more videos on his YouTube for free on the exact same topics, literally for free. And nobody, I'm not to say that nobody does anything with it because he's got a big following, but the point is that information is out there. Nothing is new, nothing is reinvented. Besides some of this new AI shit that comes out, very few things are going to be like, wow, I've never heard of this before.
Dude, you know what I got to tell you? So I used to work in online education, and actually, I'm not going to name names here, but this guy that was a president of a very large learning management software that you probably know. We were working together we were launching this Jim Rohn course, right? And then people were promoting like Tony Robbins, all these people. This is a long time ago, 10 years ago, whatever. And we were sitting in this executive room, and we are just talking about course. And he's like, everyone, people buy courses for perceived progress. And I was like, oh, damn. And because I know when I worked in a startup, the education startup, I knew that 98% of our students did not finish stuff, right? So for better or worse, that's just kind of how it is. And when you were talking about your friend, I'm like, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we saw similar, not similar numbers, but we early on in the course industry, and Hormozy is the person that I heard this from too. I think that he was kind of like, he's a very unique person. I know everybody talks about him, but from what I see and what I've learned from him, it makes a difference, like you said, when you have your nut.
Yeah.
You can go give everything away for free because like you just bought yourself 3 or 4 years or 5 years or maybe fucking infinity years to be able to how much your lifestyle costs and you know how much like you have coming in. So you can do whatever and say whatever. And one of the things he said was like the real true money in education and in coaching and in programs and whatever. Because at the end of the day, I really do believe that he, is a glorified course creator, course seller. Gym Lunch was essentially an education program and stepping in and doing ads and stuff. So
which there's nothing wrong with.
No, nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, there's a negative connotation and people take it however they like. It's the truth. It's just I'm in the space, you're in the space. Anybody that's in the space can see like what it is for what it is. And so with that kind of, business model, if what he says is the money made up front is how you get the foot in the door. The real true money is made on the back end.
Yeah.
And so I focused heavily, very early on like getting people in. And then I realized like, man, I'm not nurturing them enough. I'm not taking them care. Why are we not having enough testimonials? I know that this works. Well, then I go and check the, how many people have watched the course program. Let's say 1 out of 10, 1 out of maybe 15 people has finished it. The rest are like, never started it. Probably 30% of them kind of started it and maybe halfway started it. Okay, well, they're not going through the program. So then what I started to implement, and I think this is a good lesson for people in the education space too, is you really want to get people to get to the point where they are going to really need your hands-on help and have a back-end offer ready. But in the meantime, you need to have like, for example, email sequence, text sequence, and also having accountability coaches works fantastic because somebody's checking in with you saying, hey, saw you, hey, it's John from Blake's program. Saw that you bought the program last week. Saw you just getting started. Would love to like help you where I can. Definitely encourage you getting rocking and rolling because we see that the best students finish early.
Yeah.
Okay. So now they're kind of reminded, okay, oh shit, I forgot that I bought that. Let me go through it. Eventually they get to a point where they're like, hey, we need help. Great. What do you need help with? Well, the number one pain problem for me in the education or in my Airbnb space, you just want somebody to do it for you. Okay, well, I have a done for you offer, right? I have a $20,000 offer in the back end where, hey, if you want help, we can find the unit, furnish the unit, set it up for you, and manage it for you hands free.
Right.
So and it's a win-win because they're getting what they wanted. I helped them get to point A to point B. They have the education on it, and then they've opted to work with my team because it's just too much headache or too much work. Great. Or you have the people that do it themselves. So either way, that's how we're looking at this education space now. Is not like, hey, you bought it, fuck off.
Yep.
Like, hey, you bought it, you believe in me, trust me. Let me hold your hand through this process as much as I can with the team that I.
So if you do add an accountability coach, you do add in a community, and there's a sense for they're in a group where like they kind of look bad for not finishing, then the metric flips. It's 98% completion rate, and so it goes the other way.
Yeah,
so
that's good to know.
So rewinding to your way of selling through DMs, like, are you closing $6,000 sales by not even talking to them on the phone?
Yes.
Just like, hey, buy my shit. Like, what are you saying?
Yeah,
though?
that's it. Well, there's a certain amount of programs that we release like every single week or every single month. I'll usually wake up one day, I don't have the stuff pre-planned, and I'll be like, all right, seems like a good day to sell. Like typically Thursdays, Sundays, Tuesdays are the best days to sell.
Yeah.
Fridays, Saturdays, people are out drinking, they hate their lives.
Yeah.
Monday, they're back to work. And then so by the midweek, they're like, well, fuck, I hate my job.
Yeah.
Like, this is the time to kind of take action. So those
How
are the best.
quickly do you close them? Like sometimes like they go
I give
party.
them 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes.
Yeah. So I send a message that looks something like this, like, hey, like if they were one of the people that respond, hey, you're one of the couple people that responded to this program. Cause it's not like I pre-qual everybody. So that's something that not a lot of people do. they try and do the pre-qual like on a call or like on a text or an email or a DM. On my post, I say, this is the price of the program. This is what's included. If you are one of the people that has this kind of funds and wants to, work with me, DM me this.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get a few like stragglers of people that are like, oh fuck, sorry, I didn't read it. But for 99% of the people, they do read it. And so a couple of DMs come through and I say, hey, look, thanks for, reaching out. I've got however many spots are left. Here's the link to join. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to join. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next person.
Yeah.
Does two things. For me, it saves me time sitting there dicking around all day. Or my DM, if I have a DM closer, which I'll do in the future, then have them there. But it also puts the time clock on. I'm like, hey, do you really want to take action or not? And so it's sales strategy.
So it's 15 minutes to get on a call or 15 minutes to
here's the payment link.
Okay, got it.
And then the payment link. Then we have a set of instructions, and it sends automatically. Everything's ready to rock and roll. But yeah,
got it.
6K is being sent over.
Awesome. I want to talk. So I think you brought this up too on how you're planning to go hard on YouTube. And interestingly enough, Mark Manson, who's coming in a couple hours, he's going hard on YouTube. I'm trying to go hard on YouTube now again. What's your take on YouTube long term?
I think that YouTube is the best platform in the world. I have evidence to back it up from other creators. I think the two things that matter the most are cash flow and longevity in the creator space. I don't care how much money you make or how much money you spend. The only money that I care about, whether it's from creating content, whether it's from your other businesses, the only number that matters is cash flow. The only thing that matters is cash flow. So, and then the second thing is longevity. Think back to I'll give you a great example. I went on TikTok the other day. It suggested me a live, like those live TikTok lives. So I'm just kind of scrolling through, what are people doing? You got random people doing God knows what.
Yeah.
MS, what is it called when they like tap on cans?
I don't know what that is.
They talk like this.
Oh yeah,
ASMR or whatever. No, let's dive into that.
Yeah, if you want, we can. Yeah.
But you're going through and I see Ty Lopez on there, and I go, I know Ty Lopez, and now I used to, as much as I, that stuff was annoying back then, or it's spammy or scummy or whatever you want to call it. It worked.
Yeah.
And it led a generation of people, maybe years and years of really kickstarting YouTube ads for like these course creator education people. He had 85 people on a live. He was talking about an NFT. He was talking about rambling about health and wellness randomness, and rambling about something else too. And people had most of those people in there were like new kids, and they had no clue who he was. And he has this this podcast popped up after I clicked that. The next day, I'm like, Ty Lopez again. I'm like, the fuck's going on here? I don't watch Ty. You never see me search Ty Lopez.
Yeah.
But the video is like, why I took a break from social media. It's the worst thing you could ever do. It is the worst thing you could ever do. You want to know why he took a break from social media?
Why?
Because nobody cared about what he was posting anymore.
Interesting. Well, I mean, in 2020, when he was buying those companies, I don't think those companies worked out. I'm not
sure. No,
sure.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They all.
But that was like the last like big thing I saw. But yeah, go ahead.
But that's like a big news article.
Yeah.
That's not the same people that were like buying his programs from before.
Right.
Those guys have been through the rinse cycle of basically like, okay, they had something that worked. Then they had a couple things that worked. And then you see these guys that have a couple things that work. Then they're like, fuck it, pay me $20,000 and I will be your like coach for life coach. And we meet twice a year. It's this like life cycle of this guru. And I realized, I'm like, I don't want to be a guru. I don't want to be this. I want to be myself. I want to, post and share what I want. I want to help people. And I don't care that it like, I'm also excited that it makes me money. But my goal is like, I can help a lot of people. Like naturally, I'm a giver at heart. And so if I can help as many people as possible, make money, share my life, and do this all while like I actually enjoy my lifestyle, like I actually get to go travel, I'm actually spending time with, real relationships with people that matter. I do what I want to every single day. I don't think that like, you need a bunch of like money or a bunch of anything to be like super, super happy. I found my calling, which is, something that I'm really good at, which is this content creation and marketing and this whole world that we're in. So I found that. And then I found that I love staying in shape, and that this health thing has become a whole part of my life because of, being sick. And, I love cooking. I'm making these home cooked meals. So I'm like, man, all of a sudden this life is like shaping up for me. I'm super happy. And And I realized I'm happy right now. I want to keep this lifestyle going, and I just don't want to be a fucking guru. So I'm doing everything in my power to,
Not be a guru.
to not be, I don't want to be your guru.
Yeah.
You know?
So what are you doing on YouTube right now then? Like, is it vlog style? Like, what is the move?
So I started, we can dive deep on this, but
Yeah.
I think that this is, the goal initially with YouTube, let me restart. The problem with my YouTube career, which has like 3,000 subscribers and, it just got started last month, I waited too long. My in terms of like people, let's just say searching Mr. 4-8 or like having my peak exposure was probably during peak COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was when it was. I'm not saying that I'm never gonna have a spike like that again, but now it's more like you can see the slow grind versus it was nuclear.
Yeah.
I should have capitalized on it then, and I had every right. I just should have, could have, would have. And you know what? I try not to dwell on past mistakes. That was a major mistake that I've made in my, in this short-lived career. Now that I'm getting started, what is the purpose? The purpose is, I had a good friend of mine who's a mentor. His name's Umar Ashraf. He has 500,000 subs on YouTube. He's been around the trading space for like 10 years. You look at the life cycle of somebody who's been in the trading space as a top educator and it's giving game away for free for 10 years, the lifespan of a creator is not very long. It's like that of a rapper or, that has a one-hit wonder, or an NBA player that's great and then all of a sudden they blow their ACL out. 3 years, adios. So if that's the the case, and you have somebody that's been around for 10 years, I asked him, I said, what's the sauce? He goes, you have to think in 10-year increments. He goes, I wasn't worried back then about how much money I was making month over month. I knew that it was eventually going to come. He's making 7 figures a month. He makes money trading. He has an education. He has a trading floor. He has this and that. And his YouTube is now growing and growing and growing. And so when he told me that, I realized, man, I've been thinking month to month, day to day, week to week, and I'm afraid, and I live in fear. I have a fear with money. I have a fear that it's like finite and that it's going away, and that God forbid I ever go back to making a couple $1,000s a month again, or 20,000. This unrealistic
That's
numbers.
good. The fear drives you.
It does drive you,
Yeah.
but to some extent, though, it also leaves you playing the short game and not the long game.
Mhm.
And so for me on YouTube, I think I started. The idea is there right now with basically out of 8 videos that I shoot at a time. So I'm doing 8 videos at a time. We film for 3 days. I write the scripts and then we just bang them out. Maybe like 4 to 6 of them will be on very niche Airbnb topics. Is Airbnb going to be around in 2024? How to find goldmine Airbnb properties, blah, blah, blah. So that I kind of start taking some shelf space in that online, whatever you call it, online shelf. Some of it though, like the lifestyle stuff, I want to share too, so people can get to know me a little bit more. And then on the opposite side of the token, you have these generalists. Iman Gadzhi is a great example. Sebastian George is a great example, where they do have 1 or 2 videos where they kind of interweave this, like, you may not know you're being sold, but by the way, hey, I do SMMA and here's my course and this is how I got rich doing what I do. Well, it's like, no, motherfucker, you got rich because, we know, like, you got rich doing X, Y, and Z, but whatever, fair. Somewhere in between is where I'm stuck at right now, because if I only continue to make hyper niche content around Airbnb, acting as a VSL funnel, essentially like an evergreen VSL funnel. So for those people that are listening to this and you're wondering what I'm talking about, a VSL funnel essentially is like a video funnel where you watch a video and it encourages you to go somewhere else to like set up a sale. Evergreen means that it's somewhere forever. And so that's the beauty of YouTube, is like the algorithm will show you a video from 4 years ago. And so if I have a video that pops that gets 2 million views talking about is Airbnb going to crush it, and it has a great call to action, which is like, hey, book a call with my team. Well, shit, that thing is, I never have to I don't have to make any more videos or anything. Like, I just hit the jackpot. So that's the beauty of YouTube. The problem is, if you only make hyper niche videos, then you will be grinding this really slow grind to like 100,000 subs. And I don't want to do that. I think that I have a lot more to give to the world and a lot more to share that's not just Airbnb stuff. So I think with Airbnb as a search topic trending downward, less people are talking about it, less people believe in it, I will probably go more towards, like, out of 8 videos, 2 to 3 very specific videos in Airbnb, and the rest of them be more general, broad scale, so that I can build up my personal brand, and from my personal brand, nurture them on other places. That's how I'm thinking about
Got
it
it.
right now. Maybe you have better advice.
I'll share where I screwed up with it. So my YouTube used to get my topics were mostly marketing, and I would get like 100, 200, 300, 400,000 views. Like literally, you can see it if you go look at my popular videos. I didn't pay for any ads or anything, and I'm like, man, like I have way more wisdom than I did before. This is like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. And my biggest problem was I started talking about other stuff. So I'm like, I'm much more than a marketer. I'm going to talk about like crypto. I'm going to talk about investing. I'm going to talk about health, whatever, right? But the problem is the algorithm only likes you to focus in a certain area. And now like the last couple of years, some of my videos would get like 100, 200 views or so, right? But recently I started doing these interviews again. And this is where I talked about with Hormozy, Alex, about Warren Buffett talks about the circle of competency, right? But there's also a circle of competency when it comes to content. I've done like 400 or 500 of these interviews. Most people don't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Holy
like
shit.
I'm pretty good at doing these, and I enjoy having these conversations. And then like 2 hours, 3 hours, I can do it, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm not in any penalty box. It's just like if the video is good, it's good. And like
Exactly.
the Hormozy videos are popping off. The Cody video came up yesterday. It's popping off. I'm like, okay, like what is my content box? I'm just gonna focus on that and not try to deviate too much
Yeah.
because the algorithm doesn't like that.
Right. But there is some examples of people that have done it well. I think that there is the guy that just sold High Rose. What's his name?
Alex Becker. Yeah, he's great. But his shit is
Crypto?
it's all about making money.
No, but he does health now. He does like health.
Does he do
stuff.
health
Yeah,
now?
Everything is about like this peptide and this jujitsu.
Oh, I didn't know
and,
that. Yeah.
And he's doing a new AI startup.
Yeah.
So he went from, whatever High Rose was at marketing
Yeah.
to tracking to
Yeah.
crypto to now he's doing health stuff to now he's going to bounce to AI and he just follows the hot topic.
You might be able to do that with volume. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like when I saw that, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Not that I want to do that, but
Yeah.
one thing that I have learned in this like, short-lived career of mine. I don't want to sound like an expert, but this is just
your
what I'm
experience.
learning. Yeah, it's my
Yeah, yeah.
experience. My experience is as a creator, you got to figure out what your 2 to 3 like core pillars are,
Mhm.
and then pour into those, and don't deviate from those.
Yep.
So for me, as I kind of look back on the stuff that yes, is it easy for me to get caught up sometimes being like a lifestyle creator, just like, hey, here's my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not paying the fucking bills.
Yeah.
So do I want to be a guy that people think is cool in a cool car with driving, doing cool stuff all day?
Yeah.
Or is it like, hey, let me give you some sauce. Like, here, let me give you
Mhm.
some extra like wisdom and help you make some money. Oh, and then by the way, once in a while, I'm trying to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, this is some of the stuff that I really enjoy talking about. If you can do like 50, 30, 20 on that, like 50 of the business, 30 on maybe like personal like for me, so it goes 50% to 60% Airbnb,
Mhm.
20 to 30% like personal finance,
Yeah.
and then the rest of it just lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
that's
You know what? So I think that will work. I'll give you a hack that Neil used to grow his YouTube to 1.1 million. And it's really not that much about subs, but he did get it to 1.1. It's because he kept hitting his email list, and his email list has like it has 1 million people on it now. A couple years ago, it was like 500,000. You have the power to make these viral videos, and sometimes you can choose to drive it to your emails if you want. That's how I can see you growing it. But that's his playbook. So take what you want with that.
for sure.
Yeah. I want to talk about health. And before I talk about health, actually, I mean, by the way, just people that aren't watching this on YouTube right now. So Blake said he was 105 pounds maybe 6 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
He's ripped now, just so everyone knows. So what do you think the problem is with modern dating? Because look, you're very successful, right? You're in your mid 20s, good looking dude, right? So what are your thoughts now? Total change, by the way.
Yeah. Well, like modern dating. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, so I was in a relationship for 5 years. Good relationship, a great relationship, a lot of great memories. She held me down when I didn't have anything, and she believed in me when I didn't have anything.
Like
and
held you down as in like supported you, right?
supported me.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I would lived it, like when I was building my first business,
Yeah.
my parents were in the process of moving somewhere. Before I moved back in with them, I got kicked out of my house because we couldn't pay rent anymore. We didn't have jobs. So I ended up staying with her parents up in Santa Barbara. And, like she was always there for me and supportive
Right.
of my like entrepreneurial vision. And so I think when things stopped not working out for me was when I just became so enthralled with my business, because I recognized that no matter how you spend, I have no regrets about it, and I've talked to her about this since then. I recognized that I had this window of opportunity to really make something of myself, and I took it. But what that took from me was like literally 16, 18-hour days for like the first 2 years.
Yeah.
That's it. I wasn't in great shape. I was healthy in terms of food wise. I wasn't going to the gym. Like somebody have to remind me to eat because I'm like I'm racing. I'm against the clock. Like my time was now. I saw that I had this gift and the stars aligned. So that was the focus. And then so whenever we wanted to hang out or she wanted to hang out more often than I did, I was not present. I wasn't a good boyfriend. I started having like eyes for other people because I'm like not getting, I'm just in this my own world now, and I'm just
Right.
like, and I'd never. One thing that I am happy about is I didn't let the money like change how I wasn't like, oh, I got money now, I'm gonna go find something better. The grass is greener. But I just it stopped kind of working out, and unfortunately broke up. Since then, I don't know. I've been single for a year. I've dated kind of on and off. Never really like done any of the apps or anything. I prefer to meet people and just like randomly
Yeah.
meet somebody, hit it off, and like, oh, let's go grab lunch or dinner. I'm not great at dating, so I probably don't have the best.
You're an introvert, right?
I,
Or
like I'm like with
extroverted introvert?
I don't really know what I am.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not like great at like first dates or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I'm probably not the best dating advice person.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's been your experience?
Well, I mean, I just think there's like the challenge is the paradox of choice now, because like before you would date someone and it's like, well, it's hard to find someone good, so you might let's figure out how to make it work. And then now it's like any little tick that bothers you, you're just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go look for something
On to
else,
the next
right?
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that could be there too.
And plus, you have like, I want to talk about the OnlyFans creator economy. Like, what do you think about that too? But we can continue your thought. Go ahead.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not the best person to ask about dating
It's okay.
advice.
Let me transition to health then. So on the health side, like, what are you obsessed with? Like, what are you doing to stay in shape? Because this guy posted what he's doing today, and then your shirt was off. I was like, damn, man, this guy's super ripped. So what are you into? What do you do for your health and all that?
Sure. Yeah. I try not to be an over optimizer. Two things I cannot fucking stand in this online social world is people that over optimize and talk about it and brag about it and have these crazy strict schedules.
Yeah.
Like to me, the best schedule is one where the calendar's blank. And the second thing I don't like is all these like hyper masculine, this whole like everybody that's dick riding the Andrew Tate wave just so that they can
Yeah.
get clout and go sell whatever their coaching program they have.
Yeah.
Like I can't
Yeah.
wait until that's over.
Yeah.
For me, it's all comes back to food and gut health. So my gut health is. I'll just give like a brief background of my health journey.
Yeah.
I was extremely sick, right? Misdiagnosed with a lot of diseases. Was always regurgitating food. I was eating a lot. Couldn't hold weight down. Had stomach issues. Really bad stomach issues. Migraines weekly. My whole life I had like maybe a weekly or bi-weekly migraine.
Yeah.
Debilitating. Didn't know when they would happen. Couldn't figure out why they would happen. Did brain scans. Nothing came back. Here's this drug. Here's this drug. Here's this
And
drug.
this was multiple doctors misdiagnosing.
Oh,
you.
this is
Yeah.
Cedar Sinai. This is Stanford. Fuck everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere, and nobody could figure out what's going wrong. My great aunt, who was like basically my aunt, she got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. She went to, and I'm a Christian, and she went to to go get her first round of chemotherapy done. She's sitting in the lobby, just me and you, just like this, and somebody like kind of puts their hand on her, and they're like, God's telling me that you're not meant to be here right now, and that you need to go see this Dr. Nizami, who's like in Newport Beach. So she went to this doctor, and he's like, yeah, if you do this chemotherapy, it's gonna fucking kill you. You need to go like, try this homeopathic. This stuff is not legal in the United States. You got to go to Mexico because the FDA and the blah, blah, blah. Because the whole game, and I don't want to dive too much into it, but the whole game with the pharmacy system is if they can keep you sick, they can keep making money. And so keep you, basically they they make a diagnosis, they give you a drug, the drug covers one problem but makes 10 other ones, and they keep you going back and back for more. So that's how the big like pharma machine works. She went down there, did some high doses of vitamins, completely changed her diet, like dramatically changed her diet, and now it's been like I don't even know 10 years since she's been completely now she has, unfortunately she has cancer again, but she was supposed to die that year, and now it's been 10 years and she was cancer free most of the time. So that opened up myself and my family's eyes to natural medicine, healing your body with food, healing your body with these natural types of supplements and stuff like that. And I first day that I walk into this naturopath doctor, he's like, "Has anybody ever told you might have like celiac disease? That's probably it's causing a lot of this. But it's gluten." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What's gluten?" Gluten, however you say it. And
Yeah.
and what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so they do this test, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you have celiac. You probably have Crohn's. Your brother, it looks like he has Hashimoto's disease. Your dad definitely has it since it's hereditary." And my whole family's like, "What? So what do we do?" "Well, start by changing your diet. Go down to this elimination diet." And so I haven't had gluten like at all
Yeah.
in 6 or 7 years. I started putting on weight because my body could start digesting these nutrients. My gut health was all fucked up. I had candida. I had all these different overgrowths, parasites. And so I just naturally started healing my body through food, through juices, through natural supplements. And now, it's very simple. Like where I'm at, I eat the same food basically every day. So for breakfast, I'll do like either a ground beef or a turkey with like some avocado. For lunch, I'll do a pound of ground beef every single day for lunch. And for with some other stuff, I had this bowl that I call the Blake bowl that I make every day.
Nice.
And for dinner, I do a pound of steak or maybe like some chicken or some salmon, and mainly steak though, with a sweet potato. I do that every single day. I enjoy eating that way. It removes the decision fatigue for me.
And you're cooking it.
I'm cooking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could have a chef. I've like thought about it, but I'm eating the same shit every day. So
Yeah.
I enjoy cooking. Is one of those things where when you're broke, it's a chore, and when you have money,
Yeah.
it's if you enjoy it, it's I put on some music and it's
Nice.
therapeutic a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I just take a couple of supplements. The biggest one, I started taking this peptide called BPC 157, which really started healing my stomach lining and my gut. Just very basic magnesium, some salts in the morning, stuff like that, and getting some sunlight. I try and get sunlight every day. That's it, and work out. Stay consistent with the workouts.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be doesn't need to be overcomplicated. In fact, it should be very, very simple. It should be, in my opinion, a whole food diet, getting some sun, and really trying to get sleep is one of the biggest things.
Yep.
I don't have an alarm. No alarms. That's one of my number one rules. Blacked out my shades. Sleep way better. You have blacked out shades?
I wear this silk sleep mask.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's murdered
I'm
out.
blacked out, yeah.
Blacked out shades, 8 hours I try and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, whatever my body tells me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wake up, I try and, wait until I have that energy going of like, man, let's go fucking crush the day.
Yep.
And then once that's there, I roll.
Honestly, we have the same thing, and honestly, we don't brag about it. Like, this is just how it works. Like, good diet, good sleep, train every now and then, and that's it. I did want to share something. So this is I was the reverse view, because my mom unfortunately has cancer, right?
Oh,
So
I'm sorry to hear that.
thank you. So for her, I actually found something that was more would you call it homeopathic, right? There's someone that cured my friends stage 4 breast cancer, and same thing, vitamins and all that. I was like, oh, this sounds natural. This is great. The problem is they were proposing all these natural treatments, and then we had a couple doctors look at it. It's like, well, this is not enough. And then my mom started to feel the cancer spreading, right? So then what happened was we put her on chemo, and she's been able to. A lot of people can't tolerate chemo,
Right.
but the chemo has been holding it back. If she doesn't,
That's amazing. No,
yeah, but it's I do want to get her back on the natural stuff. So it's it just depends on timing. Neither of us are recommending anything. We're just sharing our experiences. We're not doctors or anything. And then I think you had something else that you brought up right after, but then I forgot what it was. But anyway, those are our experience shares around.
Yeah, total experience shares.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to misconstrue me giving advice. I'm just this is what happened to my aunt.
Yeah.
That's what kickstarted what I know now. And
the gluten thing. This is what I want to bring up.
Okay.
Finish your thought first.
Oh yeah, no, just basically when you start learning about what fuels cancer, it's sugar, and it's a lot of different things. And so I think that at the very least, a lot of people that unfortunately do. Again, I'm not an expert on this. Just from my experience, I've had a lot of people in my life die from cancer.
Yeah.
They went on the chemotherapy or they did the radiation, both of which doctors get kickbacks for recommending. And by the way, if they don't recommend it, then they can get their license revoked.
Yep.
Secondly, to that point, these people don't change their diets. Diet is literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is everything.
Yep.
It is the fuel for your body. It doesn't matter how it tastes, or how it looks, or how good it is.
Yep.
If you can't give up the Diet Coke, which is just this nasty fake sugar in your body that's just fueling this cancer, it's it's a very touchy subject, but
Right.
it is what it is. Like I think
Yep.
that needs to be taken into more consideration.
I'm on this big preventative health care thing now because, like, I'm kicking myself because, like, didn't get my mom on it soon enough. But, like, did you meet Jacob at my event?
I did.
Everspan Life?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, that is like a good example of, like, getting the scans ahead of time, the plaque for the heart attacks and all
Yep.
that. Like, again, none of us are doctors, but, like, you do enough research and you'll figure out, hey, like, a lot of this stuff is
I just want to
preventable.
stay alive, man.
Yeah.
There's a good Naval quote that's like, a rich man wants a million things and a sick person only wants one.
One thing. Yep. Okay. So you talked about being bullish on a creator economy. So let's go to OnlyFans creator economy. What's your take on that?
Congrats. Congrats to the guy that started OnlyFans.
Yeah.
The two businesses that like I have a really hard time justifying just due to my like faith background
Yeah.
would be like the porn industry.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm perfect and never watched porn, but like, but I personally, I think it's a genius idea.
Yeah.
If it doesn't tug at your heartstrings, like that, this is the business that you're in, then
Yeah.
fuck it, all power to you. And that's a great business model.
Right.
I don't know how, definitely COVID spiked it
Mhm.
and made it go crazy. How long is it going to last? I don't know. I guess just as long as the right creators
Yeah.
are on the platform. I think that if they probably looked into, and I don't even know how you would go about acquiring people to do
Yeah.
it, but like, just imagine if their business was kind of failing and they bring on like a Kim Kardashian
Yeah.
for both of them to make, crazy amount of money and stay relevant, stay popular in the same way that like the team at
Yeah.
Kick did Aiden Ross and, some
Got
of
it.
those other people.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring it up because it's like we're talking about the creator economy, and I realized I've never brought up the OnlyFans creator economy, but like my take on it is we talked about Alex giving away a lot of goodwill. I think if you do OF, congrats to you if you're making 50, 100 grand plus a month. And I know some people that do.
Yep.
And I think the problem is you give up your goodwill
Yeah.
as the creator, right?
Well, maybe your goodwill though is like inside of there, like sending people free nudes. Truthfully, that's probably how the business works. Of like,
Yeah.
it is just a different type of like moral compass and like different type of business model.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, too, one thing what I find to be extremely interesting about it is you had people. I didn't think we were going to talk about this today, but it's funny. Beforehand, have you ever heard about like some of these prices that some of the big porn stars are making? Per shoot.
No, do share.
Oh, no, it's like just low thousands.
Yeah.
For a shoot.
Okay.
And
yeah.
they're doing a shitload of them.
Yeah.
Throughout the year to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And then only the top creators, the top porn stars are making XYZ money.
Mhm.
And then the really smart guys, because I've seen some like TikToks, people breaking down the businesses. So I'm no porn expert, but
so you say.
Yeah. I'm all like, I got a bug in my ear telling me all the porn stats. But some of the guys and gals that like owned their own website or something, that was, if you had enough clout and all the stars aligned and you had a website and you had your own subscriptions, you could bypass the Brazzers or the whatever, then you could make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now you can do less, like way more like strip tease, right? Like really not showing yourself as much and selling way more because people think that they're having this personal interaction when really it's just
there's the agencies.
It's a virtual assistant from India. It's saying like they want to see your junk.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God. And so, some Indian dude is seeing your junk. So it's like,
man, okay. Well, look, let me ask you this. So we'll come out of the OnlyFans creator economy.
Let's stay on the OnlyFans.
So for you, I think I'm one of the, then this will be the last topic, but you're on a podcast, and then one of the topics that was brought up, I don't know if you or the host brought it up, but it was this concept of the 50-50 rule. Do you want to explain that? Do you remember what you guys were talking about?
The 50-50 rule.
Here, I'll recap. So I'm basically asking how you're allocating your profits. So basically,
like the money that comes in?
Yeah, so like 50%, I think one's like 50% is like, oh, you should just spend it on, you should invest in your next 50 years. The other 50% of your income, you should invest for like the next like 50 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And go have a blast.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, for me, it all comes back to living a balanced lifestyle. And a balanced lifestyle to me looks like, going on these trips and doing fun things. And it doesn't always have to be expensive. Very truthfully, and I had a post like this the other day where I said, if I can wake up in the morning, go to the gym early, do some deep work where you feel like satisfied doing, because I enjoy working. If I can go to the gym, do that, eat a home cooked meal and maybe jump in the ocean, that is a perfect day for me. Everything else after that, and so that was all basically free except for my membership to the thing and $8 for a pound of ground beef.
Yeah.
So now past that, now there are some other things that make life a little bit more fun. If you can go take the jet skis out or a boat out for the day and it costs you a couple $100, well then, $1,000 or whatever, fuck it, go do it. Life is extremely short, and I feel so blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and also to have been through what I've been through, seeing people in my life pass away or get really sick and certain things like that, and not. I don't feel blessed that that's happened to them, but blessed that it's opened my eyes to realizing how limited our time on this earth is, and like what kind of impact and how I want to live. My dad, this is 2021. Everything's going 1,000 miles an hour. It's basically the Blake show in my house because I'm in this tiny little house with my parents. They're trying to kind of help me. They're still doing their jobs. I'm fucking going 90 miles an hour. They're like, money's coming in. Like, when that money starts coming in and you've never seen it before, it's stupid. Because you're like, at some point it becomes numbers on a screen. It's numbing.
Yep.
You're like, all right, another big month. Like, fuck, what do we do? My dad, I get this call from my dad who never... when you get a call from your parents or from a friend and you know something's wrong? I was at my ex-girlfriend's house at the time, and I answer the phone. Hello? Hey, bud, I need you to come home. Is everything okay? We'll talk about it when you get home. Fuck, dude, somebody has cancer or somebody died or a dog died or something's not good. And I show up, and my dad is the healthiest guy I know. I mean, I've maybe seen him drink 2 beers in his life. He eats extremely clean. CrossFit and in gym his whole life, no steroids, no nothing, and is in the best shape of anybody that I know. Like the prime example of health. And he's 49, 50. He goes, hey, I went to go just do an annual checkup. They went over my heart. Doctor says I have what's called a widowmaker. And I'd heard of widowmakers. I've had friends' parents die from widowmakers before. There's a reason why they call it that, because one day you wake up and the person next to you is dead. Yeah. Unfortunately. And so they said, we need to have an emergency, open heart surgery. and so that was the first time when he said that, so he's good now. He had the open heart surgery, not to like leave anybody on a cliffhanger. And he's been great. He there's some little caveats and things that are not as good and some that are way better. But in general, he's healthy and he's doing well. For that week leading up to it, nothing else mattered. Okay. All this money that I'd been making, all this stress that I'd had about these things that don't fucking matter that I don't even remember now. You know what I remember from that week was thinking for the first time about, in a very long time since before when I was sick, the first time I had to deal with the idea of mortality is when somebody told me that I was going to die when I was 30. The second time I had to deal with it again, and I didn't want to deal with it, was when they said that my dad could not wake up from the surgery. I was afraid to Google the life, the rate of whatever. I was afraid that he would die in between then. We're talking about wills. We're talking about like these crazy fucking things, like somebody not being here on earth anymore. And when he got out of that surgery, before they were really on me about like being a tight ass with my money, because they've never had money before. We've never had money as a family. The Rocha family lineage is a family that's made not much money ever. And it's no disrespect to them. They give me the life that, the best life that they could. But at the end of the day, he goes, hey, look, there's that quote out there that he quoted where, when somebody's on their deathbed, the first thing that they think about is, their family. And the second thing they think about is a list of regrets. He goes, I can tell you, Blake, you don't want to live a life of regret. Go on that trip that you want to do. Take your friends to that concert that, it's a little bit expensive, that it's an experience of a lifetime. Work your fucking ass off, work for the fruits of your labor and then enjoy them. And that doesn't mean going out and going on a bender and doing blow and this crazy stuff that, people blow out of proportion. It means do what makes you happy, do what makes you excited, and don't live in the past. Try and stay in the present. I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but that was the biggest lesson from any of this health stuff and really just from life in general.
That's all. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's a good place to wrap. And so would you say then 50% of that take home money is going to experiences like
sorry that I got away from that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that. I would say the way that it's structured is 50% of my money that I get goes immediate, like it is set aside for investments.
Yep.
It becomes a little bit trickier at the position where I'm at, you know, where you're probably way higher, but you have to have emergency funds that are big.
Yeah.
There's if stuff goes wrong, my expenses of cost of living and blah blah blah. I try and keep it very low, but you know, can I keep a business going for 12 months? Can I, you know, my parents are retired and I'm paying them yearly. Do I have enough to pay them? And all these things start to come into place. But in general, I'm on wealth, like I'm on the attack right now.
Yeah. Accumulation.
I go broke 3 to 4 times a year. And people don't, they're like, what? You go broke? I thought you were making millions of dollars a year. In a year, if I were to make $8 million, probably I would get to 2 million liquid, spend it all, 2 million liquid, spend it all, 2 million liquid, spend it all. My monthly expenses, it probably cost me $10,000 to $12,000 a month to live. That's just with house and with food and all that shit. Maybe a little bit of travel. The rest I spend on buying properties to mitigate my taxes and to give me more cash flow. I'm aggressively buying Bitcoin right now. Anything under 20,000, my goal is to have 100 coins. And I'm just trying to continue to play the long game because I don't need more. I don't need any more right now. So if I don't need more, and I do have these goals of like this house that I really want, I have this idea of this house in Hawaii that I really fucking want. That house is $7 million. I want to be able to buy that thing cash. It's going to be $10 million by the time I can buy it. I need to be able to buy it cash. How am I going to do that? Bitcoin. You know, that's what I see. And so, you know, not investment advice, and this is just what I do, but I really do believe that if you're getting started with you know, you're younger and you want to get somewhere in life, then you need to invest, like start thinking 40, 50% of your paycheck or the money that's coming in into long-term plays.
I love it. That's a great place to end. So Blake, where's the best place for people to find you online?
Well, I would usually say Instagram at Mr. 4-8, but now I'm going to say YouTube. Go subscribe to me on YouTube at Mr. 4-8, or just type in Blake Rocha, Rocha, and you will see my YouTube there. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Eric.